Hello, this is Julia Bushkova, and with me today is my assistant, Clarissa Tamara, who will be helping us with some bow exploration. Today's topic is using the bow most effectively, knowing your bow, and therefore using it. And at first, of course, we have to know it really well. What I mean by knowing the bow, in this case, not which parts are called which, but how to use absolutely each part of the bow very well. And to do this, we will start with very simple exercise that we all do. In that exercise, there are several rules. One, we divide the bow mentally in 6 parts. Now, I say 6 parts randomly. It can be 5 parts, it can be 4 parts. If you're a beginner, I would not do 6 parts, I would do 4 parts, actually bigger parts, because you will have to do slower tempo. But if you are intermediate or advanced person and you would like to know your bow just better and better, you might want to use 6 parts or even go to 8 parts. But I think 6 is very useful. This is what I had to do when I was at school in Russia, and that was very effective. I was doing some exercises for actually many years. Okay, so for that, we take our bow, and point number 1 will be actually, so Clarissa, if you take your bow and look at it and then take your violin up and see where is it comfortable for you to end. Like I have a rather long arm, I can go to almost, yeah, so for you, this part is pretty much kind of not usable, because otherwise Clarissa would be having to super extend her arm, and that's not good. We don't want to go to somewhere where it locks, just like we don't want to lock our knees or any other parts of our bodies, right? So that would be effectively the ending of your bow. Maybe. If you have long arms, if you're tall, you have long arms, then you can go to the very end where the hair ends pretty much. Otherwise, that will be the end. Okay, so from your frog to this end, then you make a best educated guess, or you can take, I call that inchometer, the measuring tape, and actually scientifically find what is going to be the middle of your bow. And then you divide each of these middles in 3 parts. So roughly it will be from the bow, from the frog, the first part will end right about the winding usually. Correct, Clarissa? Somewhere around the winding, yes. Then second part starts there, goes to here approximately. Then it goes to the middle, which is the third part, is this part. Fourth part starts exactly in the middle and goes the same length. The fourth part ends here, 5th part starts here, goes there, and finally your 6th part, which is this one, okay? The purpose of the exercises, these exercises that Clarissa will demonstrate, the purposes are to stay within the part, number 1, and by staying within the part and being comfortable, finding the comfortable way to play it with all the good things happening in your hand, just like your teacher, or I, for that matter, tell you, we all hopefully say the same thing, ergonomically correct way. You explore it, you feel it, you get to know it, you memorize it, and you know where your parts start and end. Okay, so for that, you want to also observe to play with the same tone, which is very important skill we all have to have, right? To not just play louder at the frog because it's heavier and wispier at the tip because it's lighter, but being able to play basically mezzo forte all throughout the bow. And we'll start with mezzo forte. Okay, so to start, you can choose one of the strings, A or D.
Yeah, A.
A, great. Okay, so Clarissa chooses A. So we'll go to the first part of the bow, which starts at the frog. And what I would like you to do, yes, I would like you to go there and just play 9 notes. We will maybe use a like tetrachord here, like maybe just 4 fingers. And what you will do, you will do like 9 notes like this. So that's your last note. And hopefully you will end exactly where the next part begins. And if not, it's okay. At first, we will just retake it and put it in the next part, okay? So first part of the bow, and when you do it, just make sure that in your case your bow wants to go there a little bit and you want to be here a little bit above. Yeah, well, it's just all the good stuff that you usually do. Okay, so let's show us, please. 9 notes. Perfect. And now take your hand off. And now we will repeat it one more time. One more time, we'll repeat the same thing. And again, for you personally, very good correction, very good correction. And when you start moving for you personally, just remember not to let it rise, okay? 9 notes again, please. Perfect. Now we are in the second part, right? Let's have B and the second part, the same 9 notes. Great. Next one, the third part, or you're there. Wonderful. And just making sure that you're constantly in the same contact point. And then fourth part now. So the third is over. You see, the bow tends to go there that way a little bit. That's okay. It happens. You just put it back. Yeah. Fourth part of the bow right now. The angle. Yep. Okay, good. And you can go back if you like. Fifth part of the bow. And finally, sixth part of the bow. So not losing the sound, right? To having kind of leaning, a little bit leaning into the stick, not much. Great. And then you can, if you like, you can return on A all the way back. Yeah, exactly. You can do that, or you can just say, okay, I'm done. And play only 8 notes there. Okay, so that is a demonstration. Of course, when you practice, I would say I would practice more notes in each part of the bow, in fact, not just 8. 9th was just for us to kind of continue going that way. But yeah, probably more to feel that everything really works. So what are the things you want to make sure are working properly? Everything. So if your goal is to be relaxed at the frog, functionally relaxed as I call it, right? So that everything moves here, that your fingers are not clutching, your wrist is flexible and so on. Your elbow doesn't droop, it doesn't go up, the shoulder doesn't go up, and all of the other good things which you can see in my videos about the bow hand, right? So I have the 3 videos of the bow hand, and number 1 and part 1, part 2, part 3. Everything is in there. Okay, so you follow all of the things, and on top of that, of course, it's good to practice in front of the mirror so that you can see whether your bow is parallel or not. You need to keep the bow parallel. Sometimes when we are in some part of the bow, and it will be individual for each person, bow can do, for instance, things like that. Let me see. I will right now be in my 4th part, and let's do. And you can see that the bow is basically wiggling. The sound is still will be good, because if I keep my contact point the same, you can actually do this if you keep it the same. But still, there will be some losses if we allow that to happen. We want the bow to really be stuck in a parallel motion in the small parts as well as on bigger parts, of course. So observing all of this, and as I a couple times corrected Clarissa a little bit, when we do this, you know, for instance, again, for Clarissa, her bow tends to kind of move towards her. For some people, well, I mean, it's just very individual again, you know. But you also, your tendency is a little bit like this, you know, to start when you first bow. Some people always would start and their bow will just go like that. And usually it has to do also with elbow, but sometimes many other things. Just I call it a tendency, this or that. And therefore, sometimes we'll slide here, sometimes there. Just stop in between the parts. Make sure that you are in the center again, in number 3, contact point number 3, in the middle one, and continue from there, okay? So after you've done simple things like that, you can also use a scale, of course. We just did 1 string. You can use a scale, 2-octave scale, G major scale, A major scale, first position, no shifts because your goal is here. It will be good. Or even 1-octave scale, just a couple strings at a time. And then you can do some more fun things, for instance, playing combination bowings in the same little parts. So combination bowings will be something, for instance, first combination. I'll show it at the frog, and then Clarissa can show it in some other parts. So our first bowing usually, as we do, as I again talk about in video about bow distribution, will be this. Okay, so in a long version and a slow version, it's right. That's very slow tempo. But in order to be playing in small parts, of course, you have to have fast tempo. So here, there's still about a little bit of bow distribution there. So I'm using the whole part for 2, and then separate 2 notes. Are using the half of that little part. Okay, so if I'm doing this, and then I can put notes to it. That's the pattern that I would get, right? Okay, so you might want to choose this tempo or maybe a little bit slower. Let's show people how to play, I don't know, G major scale. Yeah, first position, 2 octaves, G major scale, part of the bow. Maybe 3, third part. See how she knows the parts? Because she practiced them. Okay.
What is the pattern?
The pattern is ta, 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 long, short, short, long, short, short, long. Very good, and I think you're staying in the part, exactly in the part. Okay, so let's see. Do you want to reverse and do ta 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 ta? Maybe that one. Let's go to another part. Let's go to 4 will be good. That's fourth part. And there are other combinations that we can do. Do you want to do some other combination of your own That's it. Which part? Which part do you want to do? You did?
Part number 3, probably.
3? Okay.
Or 4,
I think.
3.
Well, you did 3, you did 4. How about 5? Okay, let's go to 5. And again, this is, so it's 1 and 3 slurred. So ta 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 ta, that pattern. And Clarissa, you're doing really well because you did not come out of your part. A lot of times when people play it, especially at first, what happens is and then they stuck at the frog, of course, like, oh, here I guess I have to use more on down bow because I'm stuck at the frog, right? So the opposite of that would be the 3 and 1, and that one is the opposite. So people, so that one will be harder to play in the lower parts. You want to try that one or see what happens? Okay, let's have the part number 2. So part number 2, yes. So it will be 3 and 1, yes, and your goal will be to get back to the beginning of the part. Yeah, yes, again, by the end a little bit you felt like, oh, okay, I need to change. Yeah, so and that again, that's nothing but practice. That's what helps. And of course, knowing sometimes that, oh, why it happens, why I tend to go there. Maybe I feel kind of heavy. Heavy means that something is not on the right level, most likely your elbow. That is something. Or the arm, upper arm, is moving at the frog much more than it's not moving in the other parts. So it has to be active, but nicely active without involving the shoulder and so on. But anyway, so that was very good demonstration, Clarissa. Thank you. Keep practicing those things right here and there. Of course, what we, in my studio, what we do, we use the famous Kreutzer number 2, and we have all these different bowings there, our secret bowings, our secret weapon. So anyway, but that is a topic of another video. I hope you have enjoyed it and it was helpful. Subscribe and like, right? I have to subscribe and like. Okay, and we will see you all later.